Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from Essence of Llama 81 from the AmIWrong subreddit, and it says, I warned my niece about letting a guy fly her out, and some of my family members think I should keep my mouth shut. My niece, who is 24, shared at a recent family gathering that she's been dating a guy long distance for a few months and that he plans to fly her out to spend some time together. After she explained the situation, there were a ton of red flags, and I warned her not to go. Now my sister, her mother, is telling me to mind my business and say I'm ruining a potentially wonderful relationship. Here's why I'm concerned. They met online and have never met in person. They FaceTime and text, but he's always in his car or out, never at his home. He's 32, he wants to fly her out from New England to Portland, OR, and plans to stay in a hotel for the trip because he has roommates. He said he can't fly out to meet her here because he's got a lot of commitments. To me, it sounds like this guy who's either married or at least something weird going on. It seems like a really bad idea for her to go out there. On the other hand, I'm 99.9% against a girl letting a guy she met online fly her anywhere. If a guy can't find somebody in his city or area to date, there's a good reason for it. There might be some very rare case where you bond over a unique hobby or interest, but just generally dating somebody long distance from day one is a concern to me. My sister chatted with him a couple of times and said he seems nice, but it's easy to seem nice from the other side of the country when you can always hide any flaws. Am I wrong to think this older guy flying her out to a hotel is suspicious, or am I just an old fart who needs to adapt to the times? Edit. Thanks for the feedback and reassurance that I'm not completely crazy here. Had a good conversation with my niece this evening. I told her she should verify some information first and ask some questions you all shared here. She thinks I'm being paranoid, but she's agreed to at least ask to have a chat with his roommates a bit and ask for some other details that she can verify on her own. Also, for the folks telling me to mind my business or similar, I know your heart is in the right place, but my niece regularly asks me for advice, and this wasn't unsolicited feedback to her. My sister and I are very close, and we're also very close with each other's kids. We live near each other and usually have dinner as a big group with our spouses and kids a few times a month. If you're an old fart, I'm an old fart too, because I think OP is right to be cautious here. Maybe the guy is completely genuine and it turns out to be a lovely relationship and all that kind of stuff, but there is enough opportunists and weirdos out there that I'd be asking questions to if it was someone in my family. A 32-year-old man wanted a 24-year-old woman he's never met in person to fly across the country to stay in a hotel would set off alarm bells for me too. The fact that he's always on FaceTime in his car, never at home, and somehow can't find time to fly out to meet her first isn't making it really look better either, is it? And OP doesn't sound like they're saying not to date him. They were just saying verify who he actually is before putting yourself in a potentially vulnerable situation when you're hundreds of miles away from home. It's just common sense. And for me, if this guy is a decent bloke with nothing to hide, he'll understand why her family is being protective. I think a genuine person would welcome a bit of caution rather than get offended by it. Like, he'd appreciate that her family is being a bit protective over her. And it's better to ask those awkward questions now than discover the answers after you've already flown across the country, right? And I'm not trying to shit on long distance relationships or anything like that, but I think this day and age especially, it's always good to be cautious in this. A commenter says to OP, I would agree with you that it's a red flag. It might turn out to be nothing and he's a great guy, but it feels more likely that she's going to need a quick exit from there. Commenter replies saying, yeah, if this guy's legit, the hotel part alone would make me nervous as hell. Another commenter says, she should check out the Are We Dating the Same Guy websites in his area. Someone may recognize him and tell his wife. Commenter says, he's either married or she's about to get trafficked. Not wrong. So, a final update came 15 days after that one and said, my niece followed my advice and insisted on talking with her boyfriend's roommates and getting some more information about him that she could verify on her own. She also searched lots of Are We Dating the Same Guy groups. After a couple of weeks of back and forth, it turns out he was hiding a bunch of stuff. As many people pointed out, it was a bit odd for a 32-year-old guy who has a career living with roommates. It turns out he was actually living with his parents and his financial situation was not great. He He got a divorce 2 years ago, had to move in with his parents, and had been struggling to find consistent work since. He apparently also has a son he did not tell my niece about because he's not really a part of his son's life anymore. Needless to say, my niece is breaking up with him. I think she would have been okay with him living with his parents, but the dishonesty about his situation and being a parent was too much. My niece is having a tough time with it right now, but I hope it's for the best in the long run. My sister and I also had some good discussions, and she sees my point of view a bit more. No shit. My daughter is on the West Coast for an internship, so my wife and I plan to bring my sister and my niece with us to go visit her. It won't make up for the breakup, but at least it's a fun trip away from home. Even though I was right to be suspicious here, I'm rethinking my opinions on long-distance relationships based on some positive comments on my last post. Edits: I find it kind of funny that everyone assumes I'm an aunt. I'm an uncle, but I will take the fact that I give aunt vibes as a compliment. Commenter says, sounds like your family has a distinct lack of both survival instinct and critical thinking skills. Glad you've broken free of the crab bucket. Opie says, my sister always looks for the best in people, even when it's not there to find. It's great when she's supporting kind people, but she's also been taken advantage of by unkind people. However, I can also admit my skepticism isn't always perfect either. Commenter says, honestly, this is exactly why asking a few uncomfortable questions early can save a lot of heartbreak later. Living with his parents isn't the red flag here. It's the fact that he left out an ex-wife, a child, and major details about his life. Your niece didn't ruin a relationship. She found out she wasn't being given the full story. Also, major aunt win for looking out for her without just banning the relationship outright. That's the kind of advice people appreciate a lot more once the dust settles. Opie says, yeah, I hope my niece is a bit more careful in the future, but I also hope this doesn't make her feel jaded. My sister and my niece are two of the most positive people I know, and I love that about them, even if it leads to some mistakes from time to time. Grumpy says, this is what mentoring and parenting looks like. Speak up if you're worried about a family member's safety, emotional or physical. Get good questions and followed up with her later and treated her like an adult. I did dumb shit in my early 20s and would have benefited from an older woman helping me learn critical thinking skills about our relationship. Opie says I appreciate the compliment on good mentoring, but the only older woman involved are my sister and my wife. Bloody hell, I'm glad Opie did speak up in the end, because can you imagine her turning up and getting involved with this guy at the same time? Like one of the commenters was saying, living with your parents is one thing, but the absolute lies around it, the divorce, he had an ex-wife, he's got a child, and then it comes out with the bullshit of him saying it doesn't really matter because he's not really part of his son's life anymore. I mean, Jesus, bloody hell, it's even worse. But again, so glad that niece didn't get trapped in that, and hopefully lesson learned. But what do you guys make of this situation? What would you do if your family member was in a similar one? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from Spicy Regret from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit. It says, am I the arsehole for eating the food my father-in-law served me and ruining my boyfriend and I's holiday? Background info. I, male 41, am a white American, and my boyfriend, male 38, is Moroccan and half black. His parents took a dislike to me the moment we met. We've been together for 2 years and he lives in America. The incident in question took place a few days ago. This is only my second time meeting his parents. His mother has been relatively quiet, but it's obviously she feels the same as his father, who is on an all-out warpath. They think I'm a typical useless American party boy and not good enough for their son, who is an all-around goody two-shoes. They are wealthy government employees who think that they're contributing a lot to the world, unlike me. Now, it is important to note that I am also wealthy, self-made, and high-ranking in my career, so I'm not attempting to get on any gravy train. My boyfriend and I are staying at their home in Morocco. The four of us sat down for dinner, cooked by their private chef. Everybody got a bowl of some Moroccan food that smelled really good. I noticed that mine looked paler than the others and didn't have much of a smell. I didn't comment at first, but then his father outright said, as if he was doing me a favor, that he told the chef to put a portion for me aside before she added any of the seasoning, because he thought that my palate wouldn't handle the spice well. I have no issues with spicy food. I could tell that my boyfriend was already uncomfortable, and he told his father that I could eat what they are eating. I managed to keep my cool despite being really pissed off and told him in no uncertain terms that I could handle spicy food. Next thing, he took my food and went back to the kitchen. When he returned, my food was a shade darker than everyone else's. I realized after the first bite that it wasn't just spicy, it was inedible. My boyfriend noticed my reaction and told his father off before telling me to stop eating it. But I didn't. I ate the damn food, and I have never in my life eaten anything like it. There must have been an entire bottle of hell in it. The pain. But I persevered, much to my boyfriend's protests. His father simply watched. I was sweating buckets, felt sick, almost had an asthma attack. Another reason that my boyfriend was angry with me because I put myself at risk, but I ate the whole bowl. Then I left the table victorious but dying a death. Fast forward, I've been in bed for 3 days. Still feel messed up, may not survive. My boyfriend says I should have been the bigger person and that there were no winners. That eating the whole bowl was as childish as his father was for serving it and harmed only me. He's been taking care of me, but he's also blaming me. I don't think I was the arsehole, even if the last 3 days of our vacation have gone down the drain. But I don't think OP's the arsehole because it was father-in-law that was absolutely being an arsehole. Setting aside that portion with no seasoning because he thought you could handle spice was already patronizing enough. Then when OP pushed back, apparently decided to weaponize it by putting whatever the hell he did in it just out of spite. Absolutely arsehole move. But that being said, OP responded by entering a one-man pissing contest where there was only going to be one loser, and that was himself, right? I think the father-in-law wanted a reaction, and OP could have just taken one bite and said this is inedible and sent the bowl back. And I really get where OP is coming from here, just fed up of this nonsense, I'll show you kind of thing. But in the end, you only just did damage yourself, didn't you? Like the nearly trigger an asthma attack, you spent 3 days in bed because of it and lost 3 days holiday too. Again, I get OP being incredibly frustrated and why they did it, but it was a terrible idea at the same time. I just simply wouldn't be spending my time around that guy anymore. He sounds like he's an arsehole and he will continue to be one too. The Borg blog says, not the arsehole, but yes, you did not need to prove a point and put your health clearly at risk. You should have thanked them graciously in the first place for trying to be considerate. But I get you have your pride thing going too, and wanted to be clear, you did not need to be babied. I question whether it is that you are a party boy, or that you are a boy, or that you're white. I'm unfamiliar with Moroccan customs, but I know there are a lot of countries where 2 men are still an issue, and an issue for parents. Either way, well, not the arsehole. You should apologize to your boyfriend and admit that it was foolish of you to allow his father to get under your skin. OP says he definitely isn't homophobic. He's always been supportive of his son, but he is an arsehole, and he was not trying to be considerate. He was trying to be petty. Commenter says, he was trying to be petty, and you were trying to be petty. A match made in gastrointestinal hell. Everyone sucks here. My IBS is listening to this and bubbling at the same time. Is too much information. Specialist effort says info. Why didn't you just swap plates with your boyfriend? You'd have gotten your message across that you don't want to be treated differently when it comes to meals, and given your boyfriend the opportunity to call out his dad for that petty ass, super unwelcoming move of over seasoning your food to the point of it being inedible. And you'd not feel like you're dying now and missing out on quality time with your boyfriend. Lol. I'm kinda pissed that your boyfriend's subjecting you to this rude ass behavior though. You should have just taken the initiative to swap your plates. OP says in his defense he offered to swap. I'm the idiot here. I was just mad and stubborn and wanted to prove a point. I think his father was sure that I wouldn't eat it. Commenter says, you may think you're the arsehole, but your arsehole thinks you're the arsehole. OP says, we will never be friends again. You are right. Someone questions what was in the dish that made it spicy. OP said the dish itself wasn't too spicy. It was whatever he did to it back in the kitchen. It was not what was in the others. I doubt it was even supposed to be an ingredient in there. It was supposed to be inedible, but it was a type of stew. I won't pretend to know, but I will ask my boyfriend what it was. Ooh. Edit. I'm not sure I made it clear enough. The food was taken and he intentionally made it inedible. My boyfriend argued with his father afterwards. Anyway, I appreciate the comments and they cheered me up. I am an arsehole and will apologize to my boyfriend. The comments about him picking a man like his father have really bothered me. I'll take that advice to heart. Also, I love the concern for my arsehole. It's hard, it has a hard road ahead, but it will be okay. This has come up a few times, so I'll address it here. My boyfriend's parents know he is gay and they've accepted that. He is free to be himself in their home. We do not take our sexuality outside of the home while in Morocco. I'd like to show this post to him later, and I'm going to remove this edit before I do. Please, if you're going to comment, there is no need for racism. This is his family and his business. And the small update says, Update, I've apologized and I am forgiven. I punished myself enough for his liking, but he agrees that his father is an arsehole and he could stand up for me more. I'm out now. I appreciate the responses and the laughs. And a final update, father-in-law has admitted that he didn't think in a million years I would actually eat the food. The point was that it was going to be inedible, but he won't apologize because I chose to do it. My arsehole and I have reached a wary truce. Thank you all for the well wishes. I love that we're getting updates on his arsehole. It would be interesting to know how the future is going to go, because surely they're going to be meeting up with his family again. And his father-in-law just going to continue to be like this? Because if that was me, I certainly wouldn't want to be around that kind of behavior all the time. I mean, I don't buy the bullshit that he wasn't expecting you to eat it. What was he expecting you to just taste it and go, oh no, I don't want it? I don't believe that for a second. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from a throwaway account from the marriage subreddit and says, my best friend, 37 female, sent my husband, 38 male, sexy photos. I, 38 female, need advice figuring out what to do. I genuinely hope you guys can convince me that I'm overreacting, but I feel like my life has collapsed. I've been married to my husband for 15 years and we have a teen daughter. So like any couple that's been through all that, we've obviously experienced the ups and downs, the highs and lows over the years. We both have busy schedules and we haven't been extremely consistent in the bedroom, but we make sure to find time for ourselves alone at least once or twice a month. On a recent Saturday, our daughter was at a sleepover, so I was hoping to have some intimate time with my husband. I spent probably 20 minutes cleaning up the kitchen and then I went to our bedroom. When I walked in, I quickly realized that he was touching himself sexually to something on his phone. He pulled up his pants and tried to act like everything was normal when I came in, but I'm not stupid. I'm not opposed to masturbation, though it does make me feel a bit inadequate. This is not the first time I've caught him doing it, so I asked him to tell me what was on his phone. He said no and walked out of the room, but I followed him and eventually got him to show me. He was looking at a photo of my best friend in lingerie. At that moment, I wanted to combust. I was convinced that they were sleeping together and that my life would fall apart. I yelled and screamed, and I don't know exactly what I said. I cried a lot, and so did he. After a while, my husband convinced me to hear him out, and he profusely apologized and said it would never happen again and it was the stupidest thing he'd ever did. I told him that it felt like he was cheating. He promised that he never would, but he acknowledged that he breached a line that he should never have. My husband tried to explain the situation like it was an innocent interaction. He said that he had been texting my friend, which I knew he did once in a while. I text her husband too sometimes, though mostly in a group chat, about possibly getting me lingerie as a gift sometime. He says that since we have similarly curvy body types, he asked her for some advice and she went to the store, tried some on and sent him photos of her recommendations. In my mind, that's an insane explanation. Never in a million years would I send photos of myself in underwear to my best friend's husband if he asked for recommendations. My husband showed me all of his texts and that was basically what they were saying, but it just doesn't make any sense to me. There were 3 photos in total, but I only had to look at one to feel confident that she knew what she was doing. She was wearing a tiny sheer set that seemed to emphasize the fact that she does not have a single speck of hair down there. My husband promised to block her number and never do something so stupid ever again. I don't know that I believe him, but I also don't know what else to do. I'm still so angry at both of them. I still have not said a single word to my friend about this, and I don't know that I will have the heart to for a while. She clearly knows something is up because I haven't responded to her text or seen her since this happened. I'd welcome any advice any of you have. In the comments, someone says, send the pics back in the group chat and thank her for sending the pics to your husband and helping him in his attempt to purchase lingerie for you. State that he no longer needs your assistance now or in the future. Thank you very much. Hope your husband enjoys the pictures as much as we have. Commenter says, they're fucking. Don't text your friend, text her husband. Commenter says, so who's telling her husband? Her, you, or your husband? Someone's telling him, right? Brilliant says, she knew exactly what she was doing when she sent them, just like your husband knew what to do with them when he got them. His reason for having them is beyond ridiculous, and you should be insulted that he thought it was worth his time to spout such drivel. He is being unfaithful, full stop. She is not a stranger on the internet. She was your friend. They have both betrayed you, and only you know what to do. If it were me, he had better hope she has room for him at her place, because I no longer do. What an absolutely ridiculous explanation, and like the commenter said, insulting too, right? They both knew exactly what they were doing, and I know on Reddit we're not meant to jump straight to cheating, but they're cheating. They're simple as that, right? But after a month and 14 days, OP comes in with an update and says a sad update to my earlier post. Basically, you guys were right. My husband cheated on me, so he's been staying somewhere else for the last week. It's crushing. I didn't send the photos to a group chat like many of you told me to, but I did talk to my friend's husband. Afterwards, he approached her and she told him everything. Apparently, she had had sex with my husband a handful of times and sent him many photos on Snapchat. She says they both agreed a couple of months ago to stop, but I don't really care. I never want to see her or talk to her again in my life. My husband again apologized over and over and insisted that he would never do such a thing, but I don't think this is going to work. The cheating is really bad, but the lying is absolute heartbreak. We haven't told our daughter yet because I'm not sure I have any of the right words. A commenter says, shake my head. Don't tell your daughter, let him do it. Let him explain why things will change. Commenter says, sure, they both agreed to stop. More like had not had opportunity to do it again yet. Seriously, just stop. You need to put yourself first in this, whatever you decide to do. Not judging, but this is not only piss poor behavior on him and is a deal breaker, but her, your friend. I hope she had it coming with her husband. No commenter says, hopefully her husband divorces the cheating best friend and gives you evidence for divorce. Fuck both those pieces of shit. I mean, it's incredibly sad, but also not surprising at the same time, and I really do wish OP and their daughter all the best going forward, because I can imagine it's going to be very difficult, but I hope you do get their OP. But there was something in the original post that jumped out to me, and I forgot to mention in the first part. I'm not saying he should do this or whatever, but in the original post, he showed her the photo when she pushed him. I was kind of surprised by that. I was almost like, did he want her to see them so they could break up or something? Because he came out like he was getting himself off to these photos when he could have literally chose anything else, but said, oh no, it was the best friend modeling lingerie. It was bizarre. Also, the we agreed to stop a couple of months ago line is just a joke, really, isn't it? Cheaters always seem to have conveniently ended the affair shortly before getting caught. Maybe it's true, maybe it isn't, but once you've been lied to for months, why would anyone take that claim at face value? The trust is gone, it's bullshit. But once again, I do wish OP all the best. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's have another story. Now, our next story comes from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit. No update as yet. It's from Ray Apt, who says, am I the arsehole for not giving my parents half of my lottery winnings? Context, I won approximately 4 million earlier this year from the lotto. Currently, the money is diversified into several index funds. I was planning on giving them £750,000 as a thank you, but when I mentioned that as a counter offer, they got mad and started calling me selfish. I'm 19 male. My parents are 49 male and 47 female. Without going into too much detail and making this longer than necessary, I only waited around a week before I told my parents. They're excited and so was I. It was all going fine until they started talking about the money as if it was theirs. They were talking about retiring, going on holiday, buying a boat and a new car, traveling the world, etc. I asked them how much they expected to have. Stone cold face, they say half. Understand that with giving half, having 2 million left is already enough, but why should they be entitled to that? I know they're my parents and we've had a great relationship. To me, $750,000 seems like it's enough, as they already have their own savings and paid off mortgage. So am I the arsehole for refusing to give my parents half of my winnings? Edit. I posted this and went to sleep. Didn't expect it to blow up the way it did. I want to thank everyone for giving me advice and some insight on the situation. I'll do my best to reply to any DMs I've got as well as the comments. To clear something up, I saw a few people talking about tax since I live in the UK. Lottery winnings are not taxed, so I got the full amount. I may have not clarified this in the post, but my parents did not accept the $750k and insisted the original amount. 2 million. This argument has been going back and forth for some time, but a lot of the comments I read mention I should lower my offer instead of just letting them try to control me. I've thought about what I can do, and they're still my parents, so I still want to give them a portion of my winnings despite the fact they felt entitled to half. And for the reason why I told them instead of keeping it a secret. I'm young and I was excited, so I only saw it as a positive thing. Man, if I had a kid or a family member who won a decent amount of money and they were doing stuff like trying to invest it in their future, etc., I'd be happy for them, you know. My child just had a real good boost in life. They can buy their own house, they can set them up for a good future. OP's 19 and thinking long term. If one of my family members won that amount of money and offered me $750k, I'd probably fall over thanking them, right? And the advice on lottery stories is always never tell people that you've won that amount of money, which is really sad in some ways, especially your parents of all people. 19, you just won that amount of money. Of course, OP's excited, probably blurted it out of excitement. I don't blame them for that, because if you can't tell your parents, then you can't tell anyone, can you? And I know that's the whole point, but it's just depressing. But a commenter says, ask yourself, if they won the lottery, would they give you half? Another commenter says, not the arsehole, and stop with counter offers immediately. I can't stress enough how much you should not give them a penny right now. You need to sit with a financial advisor and speak about your goals in life and how this windfall can help you achieve them. This is a conversation that will take months, not minutes. The moment you open your wallet, then everyone and their uncle is going to have a handout. Read about winners of the past and how it can ruin lives. Any gifting should always be down the road when you have a rock-solid plan which accounts for it. And one more comment who says, money can destroy families and friendships. It's your money. You'll pay taxes on that win. You have your whole life ahead of you, and that money can set you up. Explain to your parents all of that. Then get yourself a fiduciary financial manager to help you make the most of your money. Use it to further your life. Go to school, get a career, buy a home. Please don't blow your money. And most of the comments were just shocked at the expectation from the parents, rather than being proud that he's able to look towards his future now and has got an incredibly good boost in life. That they're just thinking about themselves, even when OP's offered them £750,000. Holy moly, what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here. Truly is absolutely amazing. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.